Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Climbing Sycamores podcast, where we look at today's topics to get a better view of Christianity. I'm Annie Beege, and I'm joined by my friends Ben Sadler and Matt Harbach.
All right.
Hey.
Summer is in full swing, everybody.
Yeah, Ben is living the single-parent lifestyle now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Emily's on a trip.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how she does all this.
And you've kind of figured that out because she doesn't sleep, right?
That's right.
Aw.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's been good. Summer's been full. Have you guys been having a good summer?
Yes.
Yeah. We went canoeing
Yeah.
on Monday.
Oh, tell just a quick. How'd that go? Did anyone fall in?
No.
No, it was uneventful in a good way.
That's interesting.
We saw swans.
We
It
saw
was
some
cool.
swans.
Yeah.
I went canoeing on Monday.
Stop it. Really?
I did. I was
you?
some friends, and I fell in. Because what happened was I was with some guys, and they're like, "Let's go under these trees." And it was
Such
like
a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like these trees hanging down. Like, yeah, sure, I'll go first. And there was a piece. There's like a stick that was in the middle. I didn't see, and the current was going pretty fast.
Yep.
I got caught in there, and the kayak went sideways, and it just stuck. And I was like, I'm going in.
Where did you go?
Over in Burlington, Fox
River.
River.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was
And
fun.
we went to Big Muskego Lake. So
Nice.
Which is like just a big marsh, basically.
yeah,
yeah.
it was really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
It was
It is
calm.
neat.
The weather was beautiful. Yeah. So
Yeah, you don't realize how top heavy those like kayaks and canoes are until you just shift your weight and your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's a great way to spend the day.
yeah.
Well, this is a little dated, but we wanted to just comment because there still seems to be quite a bit of traction on the Harrison Butker speech. You know, he gave this commencement address at Benedictine College way back in May 11th, 2024.
Way
And
back.
it's a Catholic college. I don't know
Well,
if
Harrison Butker is the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs
Right.
football team. So
Yes.
he was asked to give the address. He is a Catholic. So
Yeah, and he was reluctant because he gave his speech at his at Georgetown where he graduated and created a huge ruckus because he's a kind of or Georgia Tech, that's what it was, and he is an outspoken Catholic. He's a strong kind of and most of his speech, if you actually listen to it, or I have the transcript here, is about Catholic policy and Catholic leadership and the Catholic faith and a call to action to Catholics and how they celebrate the Mass and taking up the Latin Mass. And there's so many things and you know, just how they govern themselves. So there's just a lot of like insider stuff. So that was kind of my first thought is like, I know this went viral and everybody wants to comment on it, but it's kind of an insider conversation. Let them
Right.
kind of deal. I know it went public and I know it was public and recorded, but there should be a place where you can talk to, you have these shared values, these shared Catholic values, and he wasn't saying anything that went against Catholic faith or Catholic theology. And so that was one thing that I thought was interesting is like,
why can't this just be private? Like
Yeah.
a personal address to almost like you're talking to a friend or something. It's like, yeah, why does this need to be on?
But nobody cared about what he had to say about the Catholic
Right.
Church because no one freaking knows anything about
Right,
that.
right.
They had to say, they had
There's
all the
2
commentary
paragraphs.
about basically, I feel like one sentence.
Well,
Right.
there were 3 points that I was just really like, no.
all right.
Like sort of 3, but otherwise I felt like, yeah, I mean, there was, yeah.
What were the 3 points?
Well,
Should I read the quotes, the kind of the main quote?
yeah, there were several, in my opinion, there were several that
So-
were alarming.
He says, "For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you've achieved at this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you'll bring into this world. And then he goes on to talk about his wife. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and a mother. I'm on stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all my success is made possible because of a girl I met back in band class in middle school who would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
I love that.
Really?
Only, yeah, I thought
but
only like the first sentence was when he was just like, but I would venture to guess that you guys would be more excited about your marriage. Like that sentence was the one that everybody blew up about.
Right. And well, and listen, and I think to me, he was giving women permission to say like, you have been taught, and women across the board, I think, agree with this, where it's like, it's hard to be a woman and have a career and be a mother and be a wife. Like these things are hard to do, all these things. And so in some ways, I do think, I don't know if we'd been diabolically lied to, as he said, but like there is a pressure to have it all and be it all and do it all. And so to me, it was kind of a relief to hear, no, you don't have to. Now, listen, that doesn't mean he's not saying that is your vocation. You must be a homemaker.
Sure.
But it's okay if that's what you want to do. If you really, really want to be a wife and a mother and take care of your home and the home front, like that's okay. That's your vocation, because it is a vocation, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. So to me, it was just more about giving somebody permission, giving women permission and saying, if you want a career, great, you can have a career, but like there's nothing wrong with just this.
I remember years ago, my wife was working at a school, and there was a woman who, this is her language. She said, I like to be at home, but I'm a feminist, and I feel like I'm betraying my cause if I take care of my children home. But I see them and I drop them off at daycare, and it just was strange that this empowering movement that was supposed to bring equality actually made her stuck in doing something that she thought she had to make a decision between taking care of her family or working. And
I think there's nothing more feminist than taking care of your family, right? Like that's now the thing is that let's talk about Harrison Butker, right? Okay, he's an NFL football player. So you can afford to have your wife stay home and raise the kids and take care of the house. That just doesn't work for a lot of people in a two-parent household. Both parents often have to work. So, okay, Harrison, like know your role, like
right. I think that's the challenge right now is on a middle class income with all the expenses, even if you bare bones, it is a challenge to not have both parents working.
Right. And then you have kids and they're expensive and whatnot. And so, So great. If you can be a homemaker and you want to do that and you're satisfied with that and your husband can support you, great.
Right. Exactly.
Fine.
And, Emily, my wife, she loves being a mom, but she also loves being a teacher. So I think even if she didn't have to make that choice when our kids were even little, it was nice because when they were in school, she was working. And when they were home in the summer, she was at home. So their schedules match hers, but she wanted to work. Like she just like, I don't want to be necessarily a homemaker in that sense.
Right.
And we just try to tag team everything. So, and
I stayed at home when the kids were quite young because the cost of daycare just didn't make sense. Yeah. But I went back to school, but I'm the type of person too, like I want to work. I don't, but that's just me. I don't know.
So what were you offended by?
Okay. So I wasn't like offended, but I just don't understand why.
Okay.
So to me, he kind of came out the gate like criticizing Joe Biden, and I'm like, but why? And he's carrying on about Joe Biden and how he's, claims to be a Catholic and then and I just thought that really wasn't productive in my, like, why did you bring that up? Because to me, there's certain language, like it's just then why bring again? We talked about this before. Why are you bringing politics and religion? Why are you crossing them over? Like, you can talk about being a good example and what it means to be a good Catholic and your estimation of that, but then like you're throwing the president under the bus kind of, and I didn't like it. I just thought, why? And then also at around 10 minutes and 45 seconds into the speech, he is talking about the pride of the school and how the school has grown and they should be proud of that. Not the sinful pride that has a whole dedicated month to it, referring to, Pride Month. Why? Why did you bring that up? And it was like and then he never touches on it again, doesn't say anything further. Why?
Well, I think so. He's talking to a Christian audience, and I think President Biden has put his Catholic faith out there as something that he wants to say, vote for me, I'm the Catholic. And a very strong, Christian and especially Catholic is, they were some of the most vocal people on protecting children and abortion. And so I think he's trying to bring up the dissonance between, if we say we really believe this, why do we say one thing, that we're part of this church, and then do another thing? And I think what he's trying to say, I'm just trying to put the best foot forward, or take his words in the best possible way, is that if we have a leader who claims that I think it'd be better, all right, don't claim that you're a Catholic if you don't ever go to church and you go against clear Catholic teaching in many different ways. You can't do one and also do the other. Now, yeah, it is kind of a lightning rod, thing that you're bringing up in this speech, and a political person, and then a lightning rod discussion. But I think that's what he was trying to do: is, can we call ourselves Catholic and use that for political reasons, and then not follow what we say?
I understand that, but he also called out some of the leaders in the Catholic Church too, but not by name. You know what I mean? Where it was kind of like you could say, you could even just say political leaders, or you could say, and just not assign, because obviously when we hear Joe Biden, we think Democrat. So I guess to me, I just didn't understand. I think it would be fine to say political leaders,
sure,
instead of just. And then yeah, with the Pride Month thing, if you believe that gay interactions and whatnot are sinful, then do you want your business called out? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you want your sins called out in a public speech like that? Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand why. What were you trying to be cute? Was this supposed to be funny? Did you got a reaction out of it? But why?
I'd have to look at where exactly and how he said it.
It's shortly before the ladies thing.
Okay.
He's talking about the pride of the school and how the school has grown and they should be proud of it, not like that sinful pride that has a whole month dedicated to it.
Well, so I think, again, taking his words charitably, I think there is a danger, I think, especially in a college campus, because I've read some of the reviews from the students who are offended by some of those things too, that, again, you're saying you follow Catholic values, and we're going to be proud about something that goes against biblical definition of marriage. And so we have a whole month dedicated as a country, and all the businesses are promoting this, and that we should be proud about something that goes against God's word.
Oh, see, to me, it sounded like he was, to me, I just don't know why you'd bring that up. You could say, sinful pride, or again, it's just it's a very specific and pointed and targeted statement, much like with the Joe Biden thing. You could have said political leaders, or you could have given, examples of dangerous pride or sinful pride.
I think the thing that I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know the best forum to do this or how do you do this, is the line keeps moving where 20 years ago, this was already starting. The LGB was the focus, and so then we changed the definition of marriage, and we made that was signed, not taken to a vote, but that was a basic a decision by the courts to change the definition of marriage. And now that's kind of like old news. Like that was so whatever 15, 20 years ago. And now it's the transgender things that are, changing sports and changing, Title IX. And like, it just like the line keeps moving and moving and moving. I don't know what to do about it. I think it looks petty sometimes to just kind of yell about it and, complain about it. Mm-hmm. And I think that can happen, especially like, and I wonder if just an older generation watching this from a distance, and then they get a platform. I mean, that can happen, I think, where I've heard, sometimes it hasn't happened here. I've guest preachers who haven't preached in a while, and they're watching the news all the time, and they finally get this opportunity to preach again, and they just throw these things out from the pulpit, and it's like, all right, that's not going to help throwing them out right now. Yeah. I know you're angry about it. I know you're sad about it, but I do think so many Christians are kind of caught up in the culture that the line keeps moving for them too. And there's a difference between, loving people and being charitable and friends with people who have whole different lifestyles and caring about them. And then how much is that going to change the values of the church? Again, he's speaking to Catholics, and I think he's trying to call them to say, are we going to just accept everything that the culture throws at us when it comes to values? And maybe you should have said it that way.
Right. And it was kind of the tone of the voice was,
right.
It was just kind of this little,
right.
like just kind of.
Yeah. Just throwing those out as kind of talking points and again, they become lightning rods. But I guess that's the concern I have, is that a generation ago, if you were living with somebody outside of marriage, the pastor would go to your house and knock on the door and say, this is against God's word. Now, I don't know if anybody that wants to be married now that we don't have to have that conversation. That's like already assumed that people are living together. And now it's, the line just keeps on moving, where when is the place where you just have to have some clear teaching, like, all right, just want to let you know, this is still what the Bible says, and this is, we're still going to love people who are making different choices and have different belief systems, but like, if you call yourself a Christian, it's still wrong to kill babies. It's still wrong to change the definition of marriage. Now, you can, again, love, forgive, accept, connect with people who have different value system, but if you're a Christian, these things are still true. So I don't know.
I think you could have been more diplomatic,
sure,
I guess is my point.
And I don't know why the media or whatever is so surprised with some of the things that he said, whether it's on roles of, like a woman being a housemaker or whatever. Like, again, he's not giving a speech for a newscast. He was, or even a secular university. He's kind of saying, these are our values. Let's live according to our values. Maybe didn't say it that way.
It would almost have been better if they hadn't recorded it.
Right, exactly.
Or if
it's
you
like,
just,
hey, this is a private talk.
Just give the speech and let,
Yeah.
Why do we need a record of this?
It's nobody else's business, honestly.
I mean, honestly, right. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Unless they want to look back on it. Some of the alum want to look back on it. And
What do you think, Matt? We've been doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Annie. Like those were two things where it was just like, I guess I wouldn't have said that. Like that maybe just didn't need to be brought up. I agreed with pretty much everything he said, and I was kind of listening for that homemaker housewife comment, and then it popped up, and it was like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah, right.
Why is everyone so upset?
Right.
And then he's getting all this backlash because, of course, he's a public figure. So then, the public think that. I just get the sense that the public think that, like, nobody has opinions. Like, if you're a public figure, you're not allowed to have non-conforming opinions. It's like, oh, we see you on TV, so we assume that you either need to shut up or agree with everything we say. So
I guess that's the other thing. Yeah, he's going to say these things, and they're really not controversial, especially those comments. But there's so much assumption that are being. You're saying that they got to be barefoot and pregnant, and you get to tell your wife what you make all these assumptions.
I didn't take that at all.
Right.
At all.
But I think that's what can happen as we jump on, and maybe that's what I mean, where we've lost the ability to have conversations in society where people of different opinions can say, all right, I see where you're coming from. I kind of expected you would say that. I don't know if I'd agree with it, but not lose your mind. Like, well, what else do you think he was going to say? He's a Christian, Catholic, speaking at Catholic university. I mean, like, what do you think he's going to talk about his football career?
It was like a more cold dose of truth than I was expecting, And so I think, but then going along with Annie's point, if you bring up like the gay thing and the Democrat thing, then it's so much easier for people to put him in the box.
That's the thing.
Because he's a white male football player.
Right.
And now he wants his wife to stay at home, and he's against Pride Month, and he's Republican or whatever. And so then you just like,
You're
boom,
painting
caricature.
A picture kind of yourself. Right, too. Like,
and then it's easier to assume everything about him.
I mean, he must have known that it was being recorded, I would think.
He's been known for saying things in the past.
And yet, he hasn't been fired. He hasn't been canceled.
They've tried.
Did they?
Yeah, there's a lot of backlash that were saying, like, calling the NFL to fire him, the team to fire him. There was a lot of that.
Why? Like, seriously, if they actually had to do that, if they actually had to do that and be like, you're being fired, like, could someone write down on paper?
You're fired because you said something?
Yeah, well, what would you actually what would they actually write down?
Don't align with the values of the
hate speech.
Hate speech, right?
Because what I saw on the internet, what blew up was the women comments. Right. I mean, I kind of like to do this. I'll be honest. go on to the pages where everyone's all angry about it. So I didn't hear or read the speech. I just saw the reactions, and people were making memes and jokes and just furious. All these women were just like, he wants you to go back to the Stone Age and all this and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, now I have to hear this. And then I just listened to the speech. It was like, that was nothing.
Yeah, I did. I really didn't take that way at all.
And I guess here's the thing that I wonder about is like, is that really the problem in society, that too many men are, like, is that really what's going on? That's our problem. I think what he brought up here with, this exalted role of being able to raise children, and then later he calls out the men, where he says, standing up and taking care of your family and providing for them and all those kinds of things. The gentleman here today, you're not working hard. He talks about that, and don't settle for easy. Live a life that glorifies God. All these different things about what it means to be a man. And these are the issues that are plaguing our society. There's just no program. There's no amount of money. There's nothing in the world that can substitute for a mom and a dad. Now, there's circumstances that doesn't happen for all sorts of reasons. And then we're, as a church and as friends, we're going to help out in any way we can when there's all sorts of unfortunate situations where families break up or all those things. But it's okay to talk about what we're shooting for and what's best for kids. And I think that's what he was calling for. But
I think the hard thing about that is when you talk about what you're shooting for in an ideal situation, you do end up alienating even. But I love how you just said it. Like, yes, like things happen, and it, but and that's, there's no shame and there's no like judgment and whatever. But this is what we're shooting for. But I still think even if you phrase it that way, I think it could still isolate. Alienate
I
people.
kind of agree with that, but I like some of this stuff just gets ridiculous.
Right.
Some of this stuff just gets ridiculous.
The inclusion, yeah.
Or it's like,
I
don't know if I say this or not, but on Mother's Day, and
yes,
but caveat, and also this person, and also this person, also this person. Okay, we get it.
Right.
We get it. I think we get it.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and also he's speaking to graduates. So he's
Yeah.
saying like, this is what you should shoot for. And this is what, this is who you can become. There's all sorts of things that when you pick up, if you're talking to middle-ager people, like, all right, let's pick up the mess now. Let's, you might have the divorce that you've went through, or the lost job, or the failure. Let's now figure out the second half of life. But he's talking to graduates, and this is supposed to be a speech that's supposed to give them some guidance and some vision. And
they're starting.
Right.
They're shooting for the moon at that
that's what
point.
I mean.
Yeah,
exactly. And so to tell them it's one of the highest callings that you can have is not to get the career. And he's one of the few people that's going to say this to them, but is, to be able to start a family. And it's just a pendulum that swings back and forth where maybe there wasn't the equal opportunity for men and women to build a career and go to school and all those kinds of things. But now it's swung the other way where I got to get my whole life together first, and then I'm going to start my family. And then sometimes you miss out, And so I think to be able to say these things again, it's okay to let people know it's okay to want to have a family and want to do those kinds of things. And how, when you think about, at your funeral, it's not going to be necessarily all the people you ever worked with or the customers you served that are going to be there. It's going to be your family. And to be able to prioritize that and to show the power of that's going to actually change generations. So it's too bad like that. This is really what made you angry, because I think it is the secret of society is a strong family, a strong, loving family.
If you'd like to get a hold of us here at the Climbing Sycamores podcast, feel free to email bsadler@victoryofthelamb.com. bsadler@victoryofthelamb.com. If you like today's intro music, it's been brought to you by Andrew Lynch's song, My Name. Hello.